So the NBA draft lottery was last night, and we found out that the Atlanta Hawks ended up getting the very first overall pick. In this video, we're going to be going over a lot of different potential outcomes in the draft, depending on what Atlanta decide to do with it. Obviously, a bunch of different ideas, and we're then going to be ranking them based on stuff that are likely, stuff that could happen, stuff that I would say is the hipster's choice. We've got the what is going on in the Brian Windhorst, the what is going on in Utah meme. We've got the would be hilarious if it happened, and then obviously the rumors that are just straight up not happening. But the first thing we're going to be talking about is the DeJounte Murray. So DeJounte Murray is a player that the San Antonio Spurs had, the Atlanta Hawks got him, and because of the trade for him, basically Atlanta don't have their picks for the next 3 years, so Atlanta can't go into full tank mode because of that. But when it comes to DeJounte, it's do they go and try get some of those picks back? I don't think they're going to get all of them back. They're not going to get all the picks they gave away for DeJounte right back from 2 years later. But will they go and maybe package DeJounte with the number one for their picks back? That's something that could happen. They could go and get those three picks and risk not picking this year if they do value their picks next year more so than they value the number one overall pick. So that's kind of the way that I'm looking at that specific trade, because that's really how we have to look at that. And I'm going to put that trade in, I'm going to put that in the could happen. I'm not going to say that it's likely to happen, because I think the most likely scenario is they probably use the pick, but it is one of those situations where if they do want to blow it up, they do need their picks back. So for that number one overall pick, the Spurs could really like it. The number one pick in DeJounte, and they get they get all their picks back. And I don't know, maybe like a Keldon Johnson or something. That not only makes the Spurs better, it means the Spurs can still have 4 and 8. Maybe it's like DeJounte and 1 for 4, 8, and their 3 picks. So that would be kind of a trade that I could see maybe happening. So I'm going to put it in could happen. Then we have got one that I just saw it, and I'm like, this was one of the craziest rumors that I've seen. Obviously, absolutely no rhyme or reason to it, but I have seen Ja Morant for the number one overall pick and DeJounte Murray. One of the weirdest trades I think I've seen. Like, I get it. Ja Morant's been injured. Ja Morant's been suspended. The Grizzlies are not getting rid of Ja Morant. I'm sorry. They're not getting rid of Ja. Let's put that right down here in the bottom of not happening. This is not happening. There is a 0% chance this happens. This is going into whatever the lowest tier is as far as this tier list, because there is a less than 0% chance of this happening at all. Like, Ja Morant is not going to be an Atlanta Hawk next year. There is no chance of that happening. But yeah, that is something that I've just seen. Next up, we have got Ron Holland. So Ron Holland was in the G League Ignite. He was expected to be maybe the top pick in his draft before the year started, or at least right up there with the top picks in the draft. And when it comes to Ron Holland, you're like, he does have potential. He was good in the G League. Like, he wasn't anything spectacular, but he was good. He genuinely was a good player. Like, he was a lot better than Buellis was in the G League. He's athletic. He's going to score at least at a decent enough rate straight away. And you're looking at him like, this guy he's one of the 3 or 4 players who, if it all goes well, could be an all-star. But when it comes to Ron Holland, I'm going to put it in, it's between hipster's choice or what is going on in Atlanta, because I don't see how he fits right now. I'm going to put him in the hipster's choice, because they could trade down from him. They could go and, let's just say hypothetically, go like 4, 8, and one of their pick. The 4, 8, and their 2025 pick for one. If like the Spurs are like dead set on getting sarr Re, they're dead set on somebody. Maybe they can go and make that trade, or even just 4 on their 2025 pick for 1. And they go down and take him at 4. So because of that, I'm going to put him in hipster's choice. But it would be very, very much a shock if this happened. Next up, we've got Brandon Ingram being traded to the Atlanta Hawks. So the Hawks are one of the teams that are like, it seemed to be one of the favorites to get Brandon Ingram. I think this could happen, especially if they do want to keep Trey Young and DeJounte. Especially if they want to keep one of Trey Young or DeJounte, no matter what. Because you could, like, if you're the Pelicans, the CJ McCollum a point guard experiment hasn't really worked out. And I do think CJ McCollum can play with. He probably play with DeJounte. So you're looking more of like, because Ingram's gone. Like Ingram doesn't fit with Zion. He doesn't fit on with the way they want. And he still is a good player, an all-star level player. So like a DeJounte for Brandon Ingram trade wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. I think that that's a trade where you're looking at it and you're like, it could happen. But I don't see, like, I've seen some like trade the number 1 pick for Brandon Ingram. And I don't know, like, you might have to give up. I don't think you have to give up the number 1 overall pick if you want to get Brandon Ingram, but it could happen when it comes to draft day. So I'm going to put for, it's a weird one because I think the number 1 pick going for Brandon Ingram is in, I would put it almost in not happening, but there is still the chance that I'm going to put the Ingram in could happen just because it'll be like a DeJounte for Ingram trade. Not like it might happen on draft day because there might be some sort of draft capital being changed, but it's probably not going to be centered around the number 1 overall pick. It's more than likely going to be centered around DeJounte Murray. Next, we have got Alex Sarr. Alex Sarr is a 7'1" big, played in the NBL. Per 36 minutes were good. Looks like he's going to be a good defender, but I'm going to make a video talking about this later today. Hawks fans and people, can we stop pretending that this guy is an absolute unicorn? Everyone's like, oh my God, we've just got the next Wemby. We've done this, we've done that. I was like, no. Alex Sarr is fine. Alex Sarr goes like 8 in last year's draft. I'm trying to think who went 8. Does he goes ahead of Casey Wallace. Wherever Taylor Hendricks went, he probably goes in and around that. I don't know can't remember off the top of my head where Taylor Hendricks went. He goes around there. Like, he doesn't go near the top 3. Doesn't go above the Thompson twins. Like, he goes around 8 in last year's draft. He's got potential. He does have all-star potential, I guess. But it's not, people are being like, oh, they don't trade this pick no matter what, we can get Sarr. Man, people weren't talking up Sarr. People were saying that Reed Shepard should have went number 1 as late as 2 weeks ago. So as good as Sarr is going to be fine. But as far as this tier list is concerned, in the likely scenarios, I think we have to put Alex Sarr in likely. I think the most likely scenario of this entire draft for the Atlanta Hawks is that they just take Alex Sarr. They do the simple thing. And they take the guy that's expected to go number 1. Like, that's the only way I can look at it, because if they don't take Sarr and they don't like trade their pick, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I think they just do what is seen as the obvious option and go and take Alex Sarr. So I'm going to put that in likely. And considering how likely I think this is, it's probably going to be the only thing up in this likely tier, if we're being honest. Then we've got Matas Buellis. So this is another one of those situations, a little bit like the Ron Holland scenario, where they might trade down to get him, because it's unlikely that he goes in the top 3 picks. But it could be like a 2013 where it's hard to trade down. And I think Matas Buellis has equally as much upside as Alex Sarr. I think he does have a lower floor, but a very similar ceiling. He's a 6'10" wing who can handle, he can shoot the ball. Showed flashes of the ability to bring the ball up and kind of play. While he's not a point guard per se, but he can kind of bring the ball up quite well. He can be probably a secondary, tertiary ball handler. He's got his length. Did struggle a bit in the G League Ignite. He started off worse than he ended, but he did struggle a bit. And that is worrying considering the gap between the G League and the NBA. Well, yeah, the G League's probably a higher standard than college. Like, his team, the Ignite suck. The Ignite really sucked. And he wasn't particularly great. So when it comes to Matas Buellis, I think I'm not the biggest fan of him. I was a huge fan of him watching him in high school, but I'm like, it's tough to really think that he's going to. I think he's more likely to bust than boom, but he could still boom. And either way, this isn't about what I think. This is more so about the Hawks. And again, this is going to be hipster's choice. Like, I know there's Pistons fans that have fully like embraced the fact that they're probably going to get Buellis. And are like, look, we've got the best boom or bust prospect. I'm happy we're 5. I've heard people saying like, it's great that we're 5 so we don't make the mistake and take Alex Sarr. We can take Buellis. But I mean, I'll be talking in the Pistons video. I think they go and trade that pick because they've been so like incompetent for so long. I think they probably trade it. But it's still going to go into hipster's choice because there is a weird scenario where they take him number 1. Like, it's not a guarantee that they don't take him number 1. So it's got to go into this right here. Next up, we have got This is going to be for every single team. Do you take Bronny? Like, it has to be in there. It just has to be there. Do you take Bronny James? And hear me out. Obviously, they don't take Bronny James. And as far as tiers go, like, it's realistically not happening, but I literally have the would be hilarious tier. There's like very few things where I would have in the would be hilarious just for breaking down all these teams. I'll be probably breaking down a lot of like the teams up at the top of the draft, but like the Bronny James to Atlanta would be hilarious at number 1. But at the same time, when we're looking at it, if it guaranteed you LeBron James, Trey Young has got 3 years maybe. Like, yeah, Trey Young's 25, but you might be saying like, oh, but like he's got another whole bunch of time. He's still young. He is, but he's a small offensive only guard. First of all, how many of them have had major success other than Allen Iverson? And then even still, Allen Iverson's 100 times better defender than Trey Young. But like we saw what happened with like Kemba, Isaiah Thomas. Like Trey Young's one injury away from his career and prime, or his prime being like completely zapped. But I think they have their best chance winning next year by drafting Bronny and getting LeBron. If they want to win next year, still don't think they do it. 1, they don't do it. 2, I still don't think they they win. But it probably is their best chance. But it would be absolutely hilarious. So Bronny James has got to go into the would be hilarious tier. Then we have got like, now this is one where, hear me out. This is a very interesting one, is Donovan King. So Donovan King is honestly one of those players where you're just like, he is going to be a good defender straight away. He's very mobile for 7'2". Like, he's not like slow-footed like Zach Edey. He's a lot more mobile. Is he going to be a great offensive player straight away? No. But he's going to rebound. He's going to block shots probably straight away. So that is what we're looking at when it comes to him. So he's got a lot of redeemable qualities. He's going to be a solid NBA player. I think he's a guy that's like a late lottery pick a lot of years. But obviously him at number 1 is very unlikely. But I do see a scenario because obviously with Clint Capella and stuff, one of the Hawks' biggest needs is centers. And maybe I don't think it's crazy to say that a team might value Klingen's ability to play defense right now over the upside of Alex Sarr. And do almost like what the Celtics did in 2017. Like, well, look, we want this guy, but we're going to trade down because we're still going to get him here. And that could happen. We could see, because Klingen's definitely not going to Washington. Klingen's definitely not going number 1. And to Houston, there is a chance Houston take him, but I would say if you're Houston, you're probably more looking at if Reese O'Shea is still there, you're going to take him, obviously. But I still don't think Houston take him because they got Şengün. So I do think that there is a chance if they do go and make the trade down to 4, that they take him there. And I'm going to put that in hipster's choice, because just like Ron Holland, it's a case of like trading down, and I still don't think they do it. And like, this is like if you overthink things, they might go in there. But I would say this is the most likely scenario I think the only way they get him is if they trade down. And I don't think it's that crazy a thing that they trade down to get him. And then we have got Zachary Re. Look, Reese O'Shea is a good shooter. Reese O'Shea shoots the ball well. He's 6'8". He's somewhere between 6'8 and 6'10". He's a decent shooter. Played okay in France. I still am not sure he quite has the upside of even what Bilal Coulibaly had last year. But he's got a similar frame, similar length to an Ousmane Dieng, except he's just better than Ousmane Dieng. He's going to be a decent defender. He's going to shoot the ball well. I think he's a fit on any team. I'm going to put Reese O'Shea in could happen. I think he fits. He's the prototypical mold for an NBA player. I think he fits with absolutely any team right now. I don't think there's a team that he wouldn't just come in and at some stage be a good player for. So I'm going to put him there. Obviously, you could. I still don't think I don't think they get him unless they're at number 1. And I also think if they stay at number 1, they're taking Alex Sarr. So I'm going to still put it in could happen, because you never know what could happen. Sarr could start tanking workouts, and Reese O'Shea could start killing it. And it's Because regardless of the fact that like they're different types of players, like when they played, the last time we saw them playing together, they averaged very comparable numbers for the French national team. So these guys are similar level ability players right now. It's just what do the team want? So I don't think they take Risa Shea at number 1. But I think it is in the could happen range. Then we've got trading Trey Young, and Trey Young's trade, almost certainly if they trade him, it'll probably be to the Spurs. I think if you're trading Trey Young, you're probably in tankathon mode, and you're basically looking for a slightly more trade package than what you would get for DeJounte Murray. Trey Young to the Spurs will have definitely some interest. Yeah, they're saying they don't have interest. I think that's because they probably want the price down. They probably don't want to give Atlanta all their picks back and their current picks. Like what I'm guessing is Atlanta will look for Trey Young. They will look for 4, 8, and their 3 picks. So I don't see the Spurs taking that. But what I can see happening is getting all their picks back. If all the picks back and 4 and 8, if they include 1 in that. But if they want to keep 1, because if they want Alex Sarr and they want kind of their future back, maybe you go like Trey Young for Keldon Johnson and the 3 picks. Because that's not like that basically means that they're back in charge of their own destiny. They're back in charge of their own destiny, and yeah, like anything can kind of happen then. So that's the only. I still want to put the trade in Trey Young could happen because they have to trade. Realistically, they have to get their picks back if they want to blow it up. And I think that is what the discussions probably currently are in Atlanta. It's like, do we try to get our picks back? Do we blow it up? Or do we just run with what we have right now? Last up is Reed Shepard. So Reed Shepard's interesting. I've seen him go anywhere from 3 to like 12 in mock drafts. This is genuinely like one of those years where anything can happen. Because, one, I don't think there's a clear-cut number 1. Unless you like are one of the people that are like, I'm not going to say fooled by sarr, but are hyped by, have bought into the sarr hype. I don't think there's a clear number 1. But Reed Shepard, I have him on the list because there's some weird scenario where they trade down. They just make some sort of a trade to trade down and end up taking Reed Shepard. And that is in the what is going on in Atlanta. If they're taking a guard, an undersized guard at that, it means one of 2 things. It means either Trey's gone or it means DeJounte Murray's gone. So if you see a weird ass thing like them taking Reed Shepard, it likely means that one of their 2 main guys has been traded. So anyway, yeah, that is the video, lads. This is my breakdown of the lot of choices that the Atlanta Hawks can make for the NBA draft. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.